It's crazy to see against Io Marcy that he has 10 denies and they have 0. They have not a single deny, and Murata has 2 denies. So, I mean, this is like insane beatdown, actually, like a criminal beatdown from the side of Entity. Hey, what is up, guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at the best player in Europe. That's not an over-exaggeration. Watson on Entity is actually rank 1 in Europe, arguably the most competitive region in the world. Actually, I don't even think it's arguable. It is the most competitive region in the world, so to be rank 1 is quite the feat. What we're going to be doing today is looking at the first 10 minutes of his game. I thought what was particularly special about Watson's gameplay was the fact that he beat an Io Marcy lane as anti-mage. From my perspective, or my understanding of Dota, it shouldn't go this way. I feel like Marcy Io is actually a lane that's pretty good against anti-mage, because of the fact that sidekick is just not mana intensive whatsoever, so mana burn isn't truly a problem. You can buy like a stick, or mangoes, or even just naturally regen up and be able to consistently use sidekick. And with sidekick, Io lifesteals, right? You put the sidekick on your Io, he lifesteals, hits for a bonus 20, and every time the Io lifesteals, it heals the Marcy. And so you basically have double lifesteal. It's very, very powerful. But because of the fact that I think Nigma Galaxy played this lane wrong, and Watson was absurdly clean, he was able to win the lane, and win the lane convincingly at that. Also, I want to tell you guys that if you've been struggling with solo queue and you're looking to get to the next rank, I'm going to be able to help you. Like, literally, with the Game Leap website, I'm going to give you guys guides that are going to make it unbelievably clear on what you need to do. So if you've been stuck in the solo queue grind, you don't know what to do, and you want to become absolutely broken, but like actually you want to become much, much better at Dota, and you want to take it more seriously, the Game Leap website is going to help you do that. So click the link down below, I'm going to help you get to the next rank, and I'll see you there. Alright, so the starting item build is very, very important. He maxes out on trading items. Yeah, it's kind of weird because you would think to some extent maybe he would opt for a bit more extra regen early on, but he is kind of doing that. This build is a bit of a mix. He buys 3 tangos, 2 circlets, and 2 branches. This is to optimize his right clicks outside of the quelling blade. From there, the first thing he instantly, with no hesitation, ships out is a salve. I guess he kind of knows that the lane is going to be a heavy trade lane, and so, I don't know, I just don't see a lot of safe laners ship the salve, but maybe this is a bigger trend than I know. But yeah, he ships a salve immediately. Now, the first waves is where things really get awesome. I don't know exactly why mind control was so passive, same thing with GH. Maybe it's because Io is kind of bad at level 1, which is sort of true. Io in the early levels isn't incredible. However, Io at level 2 is honestly not bad. Like overcharge, giving 35 attack speed with the sidekick is very strong. Like, don't get me wrong, that's quite strong. So I just felt that they played too passive, but I think what Watson does well is he understands that Io doesn't pressure very hard. And this is like something that only rank 1 players do. Almost no one adjusts their gameplay to every factor in the lane, like almost every factor in the lane, especially hero matchups. And because there's an Io who doesn't really harass him much, he just walks up and starts like denying this creep. And I will admit, even to me, this is pretty weird. The reason why is usually in the early waves, my understanding is you don't want to deny the first creep without auto-attacking any creeps. And the reason why you don't want to deny this without auto-attacking these is it will create a situation where they have way more creeps than you and they can play pretty aggressive. But I think because of the fact that Io is weak at level 1, Watson doesn't mind if he's at a creep disadvantage. At least that's my speculation. And so you'll notice that he's not going to actually skill mana burn or blink, which is pretty cool as well. I think the reason why is he wants to see what mind control is going to skill. If he skills Q and Watson messes up, he can blink out and, you know, be fine, right? But what he ends up doing is he goes for that deny, right? MC kind of tunnel visions on these melee creeps, which I really think mind control just needs to kind of chill here. I really believe that he over aggroes in this lane, like he pulls aggro again, and I just don't think you have to do this as Marcy. And the reason why is Marcy has good armor, good base movement speed, he has 6 tangos, good damage, like both of your level 1 abilities are very good, like dispose is very good. Like if AM walks up and auto attacks you, I'm pretty sure you can dispose and trade. I mean, mana burn is pretty rough level 1, but even in this lane, I actually think if I was to play this lane, I would just take the sidekick at level 1. I would just click it on my Io. It's a really long cooldown at 36 seconds, but you can click it nearly once per creep wave. It costs like no mana. I feel like he doesn't need to pull aggro hard here, because what ends up happening is Watson now gets to bring back the 4 melee creeps that, by the way, he didn't push in. And this is why I think Watson's like pretty next level to some extent, at least from my understanding, is usually I auto-attack the wave a bit. Watson clearly does not auto-attack the wave a bit. It's the exact opposite. He denied it back. Now he's able to pull aggro onto the range, gets a free range deny, and because of the fact that he didn't auto-attack the wave at all, he now can aggro onto the range immediately. And by the way, he intentionally static the wave here. Let me replay that back quickly. He intentionally static the wave to the left just to make sure he could aggro onto the range that was coming up in the next wave, right? So you'll notice, brings it to the left, does not bring the wave to here, brings the wave to here. And then after that, he's going to aggro off, I don't even know what did he even aggro off of? Oh, IO. So he aggroes off the IO, right, by moving his camera down briefly, and that's going to allow him to deny another ranged. He tells Fishman on the Mirana to hit it, then he's able to line it up. GH nearly sniped it, so good try from the IO, but immediately, you're in a situation where you're just kind of chilling. Now, Mind Control ends up tossing him in, and I immediately can see why maybe Mind Control didn't skill Dispose, and this is honestly why I'm kind of questioning. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not like Enigma Galaxy hater or anything, by any means. I'm really not. I'm actually quite a fan of their team. I love how versatile their players are, but at the same time, I just feel like you should pick what you've practiced most, because I don't know how much Mind Control has played Marcy, but even from this Dispose, I feel like if you've played this matchup, then you would know that it just isn't that good, right? Like, I definitely feel like if he takes Sidekick and just plays chill, he would have done much, much better in this lane, because if I skip ahead a bit, right, this Dispose just truly does not work out for him, and Watson certainly punishes it well, right? Watson starts trading with the Matterburn, actually did skill up, so it doesn't even have the blink, but it was way more favorable than I thought. The Starstorm is also a pretty decent spell at level 1, and yeah, they end up getting a pretty favorable HP trade, and Watson's in a good place. He also ends up getting multiple denies there. I think denies 2 creeps just casually. Like, getting melee denies is insane, because they always have quelling advantage over you, so it's really not supposed to happen most of the time. But yeah, he's able to pull aggro onto ranged again, which they don't contest again. Anti-mage, it's tough. It's tough contesting range as a lane with no nuke and no true range hero. Like, IO can't walk up and secure it, it's too dangerous, and neither of them have a nuke for the range, so I get why it's getting denied, but that's why I just feel like they gotta click the sidekick and man up or something like that, because, I mean, this approach to the lane just doesn't work, and Watson punishes it perfectly. Aggro into the range over and over and over again, just really focused on the CS, not over pressuring. I think a lot of players would have looked at this lane and said, you know, I'm mana burn at level 1, I'll just fight the Marcy, right? I'll fight the melee hero. But he's only truly hit the Marcy when she overextended. From there, it was just kind of chill gameplay. Now, the next clip is also very important. He ends up going on a GH here, and the way he does it is crucial. GH ends up stepping up a little bit too far, right? Which is clearly a mistake from GH, but this is what the best players do best. They identify the mistakes in the moment, right? He's just so aware of the fact that this IO is a little bit too far up, because it doesn't really seem like IO is that far out of position, but GH misclicks. I mean, this has to be a misclick. I don't know why. Maybe he was planning on clicking AM. Oh yeah, he was, and Watson stepped up. Wow. Oh man, he just caught him in that small gap, right? He caught him in the small gap where he went to click him, and he ends up getting a free auto. Mirana starts clicking him, and what Watson does beautifully here is he doesn't blink. A lot of players would have been really tempted to blink, but he understands the best way for IO to live is for Mind Control to run down and for IO to tether out. And he reads this play, he literally reads it, gets a hit during the tether, and then blinks over. To be fair, he was dead well, no, he popped a Fairy Fire, but the Starstorm hit him, so he's probably dead anyway, but gets the blink off, hits him mid-tether, and then finishes the kill after the blink. Unfortunately, Fishman did get the first blood, probably with a stray auto attack there, but I mean, the execution was just insanely good. Reads, maybe he read that IO was gonna click him there, because he walks up as IO goes to click him, hard punishes the positioning, and that leads to first blood. I mean, that is the most rank 1 thing I've ever seen, because, like, who does that? You know what I mean? It's just, like, such a small opportunity, but he found it, and that's what makes you the best in the world. It's not, like, insane plays that are really flashy. It's stuff like this, because he's just, I mean, this is, like, crazy. He's 400 gold up 3 minutes in. So the next thing I like about Watson's gameplay is the fact that he's very aware of pulls. So basically in the laning stage, in order to maintain equilibrium, you need to be very aware of how, you know, potent the pulls will be. So, for instance, let's say your teammate single pulls one of the goblin camps, like the one with 5 creeps that barely kills anything. You have to know as a carry player that most of your creep wave isn't going to die. And as a result, if you don't want the lane to push into the enemy, you don't want to drag the entire wave under the tower. But most carries will do that anyway. They'll just say, oh, they pulled, I don't want to tank the wave, you know what I mean? They're running at me a bit, I'll just drag it under. And it's not the correct approach, because you're going to get put in a scenario where a minute and a half from then, a minute from then, the lane is next to the enemy tier 1 and Dota gets really weird then for you as a carry. So instead here, the only reason he knows it's safe to, you know, to bring under tower is the wave that was pulled was a stack pull, right? So you have a stack pull here and now you're just chilling. right? You're super chilling. You know the entire wave is gonna die, and therefore dragging the wave under the tower is the correct thing to do. But it's a big deal, because in this case, if you were to static the wave, what would end up happening is you would have way too many creeps, and it would be really easy for Nigma to come over and contest every single CS. It would be extremely hard to get good last hits. And from there, because of the fact that things even out, he's able to pressure the IO and the Marcy, considering they're dragging a wave. And yeah, he's able to static the wave near his tier 1, get a free deny, actually a free 2 denies, and yeah, he continues to dominate. I mean, it's crazy to see against IO Marcy that he has 10 denies and they have 0. They have not a single deny, and Murata has 2 denies. So, I mean, this is like insane beatdown, actually, like a criminal beatdown from the side of Entity. Kind of an example of what I was talking about comes up at the 5-minute mark here, where Watson is dragging the wave, and he actually realizes that the wave is going to static outside of their tower, so he pulls creep aggro a couple of times to prevent this from happening. And honestly, this is why I think Nigma is just choking, because this is completely counterable. Unless mind control just doesn't care for some reason, or there's something I don't understand, he can completely prevent the wave from being staticked by the anti-mage, because he can also pull aggro. He can pull aggro to the right, to the right, to the right, and that would cause the wave to static here. Maybe he's afraid that the Mirana's gonna pull, but no, okay, so they have the camp block. So I don't know, he's just kind of choking here, I'm not gonna lie. He's just, he's not playing as well as he could, because now the AM is in a comfortable position. If the wave is close to the tier 1, AM's getting completely bullied off this wave, but instead, he gets to pull aggro, right? He gets to pretty comfortably pull aggro, where he shouldn't be able to do this if the wave is in a good spot. You could completely zone him. At least you could try to, and certainly I think it would go pretty well. But yeah, it's a situation where Watson's lane equilibrium this game was far above and beyond mind controls. And I don't mean to like be too much of a hater. I don't want to put that energy out, but you guys it's just the reality, right? Like, I just want you to see how crucial it was for this game. I mean, that's why when people in their pubs are like, my lane is unlaneable, my support sucks, and then I watch their replay, and like, no joke, I'm watching the replay, and they just shove in the wave off cooldown. They just shove in the wave, they drag every wave under the tower. That's the biggest culprit, if anything. The carries, they just drag every wave under the tower. They never pull aggro to try to static the wave near their tower. It's just complete ignorance when it comes to the importance of keeping the lane where you want it to be. And obviously pulls play a big factor in this, but the problem is a lot of carry players at the average level really only understand, for the most part, that like you want to keep the wave even, which is like old Dota knowledge. That's like 7 years old. You try to keep the wave even if you're free farming. And then pulls, like that's the 2 ways to keep the lane in a good spot. But there's a lot of aggro mechanics. You want to kill the range creep as fast as possible if you're trying to get the lane back. Like, there's other stuff that has come about. And so yeah, he ends up having a god game, and now with the Vanguard timing, his gameplay is really simple. And this is kind of the nice thing about the current anti-mage build. The reason why I definitely like generally agree with it. You can disassemble Vanguard into Battle Fury, which I think is solid. I'm kind of somewhat of a hater of the Radiance anti-mage. I don't think it's that good, but you know, it has its place. But I don't know. I'm sort of a hater. I'm not gonna lie. But either way, moving on to the point. Now, because of the fact that they picked AM in a good AM game, like a solid AM game, and he has had such a good lane, he gets to do whatever he wants. And so if you're wondering, like, why can't I win my pubs? I'm a carry player, my supports suck. Like, yes, he got good help from Fishman. Fishman stack pulled the camp. Fishman did a really good job in the early levels, zoning the IO and getting them low. He helped out with the first blood, so obviously your 5-player matters. I'm never going to convince you of that, but like, you could see the impact Watson truly had in this game. And so yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you learned a lot. Hopefully this video inspired you to be a better player and take more responsibility for the outcome of your lane, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace!
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!